Hey, welcome back to the shop. I'm David. Hopefully it's going to be a good one for you this week. I've got an antique Stanley Bailey handplane, number 5. It's a type 11, which dates this somewhere between 1910 and 1918. I'm excited about this one because this will be my oldest handplane yet. It's in pretty rough shape, and I'll bring you in closer and show you a few things, and then we'll get started on it. And I know this is a type 11 because there are 3 patent dates here behind the frog. And then the next thing you look at is for a raised rib. There isn't one there. And then the adjustment screw here. If it's 1 inch in diameter, it's a type 11. If it's 1 1/4, I believe it's a type 13. So anyway, this one's dated to somewhere between 1910 and 1918. I haven't pulled it apart yet. This was fresh out of the barn, so we'll get to it and see how bad it is. This is, I think, called the lever cap. It's got a little bit of rust here on the back, but in pretty good shape. The iron, let me grab a screwdriver. I got some rust on this. Not a big deal, that'll clean up just fine. On the iron, it's definitely Stanley. Oh, it's got the SW, the Sweetheart. That's really cool. But it's in good shape. It's just got a little surface rust on it. But the blade is actually still kind of sharp. The frog's got a little rust on it. The biggest concern for me is this broken handle. But it looks like a clean break, so I believe I can get that. Apart. Or excuse me. I believe I can get that put back together without a problem. Don't see any cracks. It's in good shape. We're good there. And you can see underneath here the original color of this original Japanning. I'm not sure how bad this Japanning is. I know some of it's missing. I may be able to save it. I won't know till I get this thing washed down. Tell you what, for as bad a shape as this thing looks like it's in, it's actually not too bad at all. Take that off in a little while. Looks like maybe this is somebody tried to glue this together once before. And there's some more of the original Japannings. Okay, next thing to do is just start getting everything cleaned up. And a lot of sanding ahead of me. I'm going to contemplate how to do this too. It's riding proud in the middle, and I can rock it. So I think I'm going to take these high points off because God knows how long ago this thing broke, and if glue got up underneath these splinters and pushed them up. But I'm going to take those down a little bit, and I'm going to use epoxy to put this together, which will fill any void, unlike glue. But overall I'm pretty happy with the joint. Seems to be very stable, so I'm going to go on up to the grits all the way to 320. Well, I forgot to turn the camera back on after I did the 120 grit, but I went up through 150, 180, 220 sponge, and finished with a 320 sponge, and I'm really happy with the way that came out. It's a real pretty knob. I'm going to get some finish on the tote and the handle here, the knob. I'm going to be using a tung oil finish. Love the way this stuff smells. Just going to get a little bit in my cup here. Not going to take much. And I'm going to put just a splash of mineral spirits in there on the first coat here just to thin it just a hair. Probably too much. Yeah, it's a little too much. Let me add some tung oil. Came out last night off camera, actually twice, and put 2 more coats of the tung oil on the wood pieces. So I'm just going to take some 4-aught steel wool and just burnish them up a little bit. All right, I'm ready to get everything in evaporust. Actually, the more I look at this, the more I'm impressed with how good a shape this plane is in, other than having this dirt and rust on it. It's really nice. And the evaporust did a good job. I got a little bit of pitting here. Some of that will come out when I flatten the bottom of this, but overall, pretty good. After the evaporust, it really gives me a good chance to look and see what everything looks like. And I have definitely made the decision that I'm not going to strip this Japanning and repaint. It's just in too good a shape. The next thing I'm going to do is work on the body. So I'm going to be flattening the sides and the bottom. Not going to try and redo everything, just want to get these big areas. All right, the next step is to start with the diamond stone. And I'll start with my 300 grit side. Now I am going to flatten the back side with the diamond stone, but I'm really only concerned about this much. And it should be flat already. I'm going to flip it over and go to 1,000. And hopefully we're short. Ready for reassembly. The first thing I'll do is put the frog back on. I like to put a little bit of oil, and I just use 3-in-1 on all these surfaces back here that aren't really coated anymore. Just helps protect it from rusting. And I'll just put a drop of oil on each one of these screws. This helps them go in a little bit easier. I didn't show all of the process, but just cleaned up the frog with some Scotch-Brite pads and all of the fasteners yesterday. I cleaned them up using the wire wheel on the machine and the fiber wheel. It just gave them kind of a nice satin finish. This is not a complete and total redo type restoration. This will be a tool that gets used in my shop, so there's no reason to go over the top with it. I just want to get it cleaned up and looking good so I can really enjoy using it. Just giving it a slight adjustment here to make sure it's even. Now I'm going to get the adjustment assembly reinstalled here. Drop oil, make it go in a little easier. Nice. Alright, this screw goes in here, which holds the blade assembly on. And then you bring it over and then push it down, and that way you don't take a chance of damaging your blade. About where I want it, so now I'll get this oiled. Perfect. So now all that's left to do is set it up and see if it'll cut. It's a full width strip, pretty thin. So I think I really like using this Old Bailey plane. I'll tell you, I love these old hand planes. They're a great example of the craftsmanship we had here in America in the early 20th century. This is a Bailey No. 5 hand plane made by the Stanley Company, and I believe it was made somewhere between 1910 and 1918. I hope you enjoyed the video. Really appreciate you following along, and I'll see you on the next one.